Ahoy there, YouTube! I'm back again today for another game review. And today, very excited to check out the Deer in the Headlights game from Front Porch Classics. This is for 2+ players. Age is 5+. I'll take, I'd say, anywhere from 20 to 40 minutes to play, depending on... actually, I'd say 20 to an hour to play, depending on how many players you're playing. And in the Deer in the Headlights game, this is a game where you're going to have 2 standard decks of cards, which you are familiar with. On your turn, you are going to be rolling dice, and then you're going to be getting rid of the cards in your hand, either putting them to the center or giving them to other players, trying not to lose turn, trying not to collect cards, and eventually trying to get rid of all the cards in your hand. If you do that, that will end the round. Everybody else will score points, and in this game, points are bad. It's a very light, simple, apparently classic game that people like to play on the front porch, even though I've never seen anyone do it. But is it good? Does it stand up to the test of time? Let's open it up, and I'll tell you what I think. Alright then, we're going to take a look at what you're going to get inside of the Deer in the Headlights game. So before we get started, I do want to mention I am not using one of the decks of cards. The game comes with 2 decks of cards. I personally think that's kind of ridiculous if you use both decks of cards in the slower player count, but I'll talk more about that in the pros and the cons. So you should know that everybody's cards should be double what they are now. So in Deer in the Headlights, you're going to be rolling the dice on your turn, and then depending on what the dice tell you to do, you're going to look at this handy-dandy little pad right here, and you're going to do that with the goal of getting rid of all of your cards. If you get rid of all your cards, that ends the round, and other people are going to score points for what cards are left in their hand. And what you're trying to do is be the person that has the lowest score when someone hits 150 points, and then you will win the game. So let's show you how it's played. I dealt out a 3-player game to Ma, Paul, and Ed. We got the score sheet right here, and let's take a look at our cards. So what you're probably going to want to do is you're probably going to want to sort them generally by, what their suit is. Or not what their suit is, what their number and letter and whatnot is, not their suit. Then you're going to roll the dice. You roll all 3 dice, then we'll see what happens. So I have Deer in the Headlights, a king, and a 3. So we take a look at our score pad right here, and we'll just go over all of them real quick. So if you roll 3 numbers, all cards that correspond to the numbers rolled, you can discard from your hands. So that's really good. But if you cannot play any cards, then other non-rolling players give you all that stuff from their hand. So once you get towards the end of the game, that's a really bad thing to see, especially if you don't have the cards there. If you get 2 numbers plus 1 Deer in the Headlights, which is actually what we have right now, are all cards from one of the suit rolled. So let's see, kings or 3s. I got a king right there. And I got a 3 right there, so we'll get rid of the king, because if the king's left in our hand at the end of the round, then that's 10 points for us, which is bad. So we just put that right there in the middle. Now this guy is going to go. He's got same thing. He's got a 2, he's got a 9, he's got a Deer in the Headlights. So let's go ahead and look at his hand, and ooh. Now, I also have the Joker in here. The game doesn't explicitly tell you to take out the Joker, and I actually think it's kind of a little bit more fun to keep it in there because the Joker's not on the die. You have to get rid of it in some other special ways. But I assume you're not supposed to actually play with it because it doesn't reference it at all in the scoring. Not quite sure. The rule booklet, as I'll tell you in the pros and cons, could be better. So now we get over to this guy. Hopefully he rolls something a little bit different. And yes, he did. He's got a Deer in the Headlights, and he's got a Deer running. So let's continue down this list here and see what happens. So 2 numbers and 1 car would mean all cards that correspond to the numbers rolled. You can pass to any other player, so that one's pretty cool. 2 numbers plus 1 running Deer, which is not what we have. All cards from the numbers rolled plus any other card from your hand, so that'd be a good opportunity to get rid of Joker. And then here we go. Oh, nope. 1 number plus 1 Deer in Headlights plus 1 car means all cards matching the number rolled, plus any cards which add up to the number rolled. So if you got an 8, you could get rid of 6s and 2s and 5s and 3s, stuff like that, and you pass those to other players. Now what we have is 1 number, 1 Deer in Headlights, and 1 running. So all odd or even cards based on the value of the number die roll. So Jack, Queen, King cannot be played during this roll, so aces are 1. So let's see. Oh, wow. Yeah, this is an easy one. Look at that. Look at that. Oh, my good golly. That's spectacular. So we're going to do odds, which means we can get rid of these 3s, these 9s, these aces, these 5s, these 7s, these 9. Bam! We just took the lead right there. And now it goes to the next person. They roll it up, and then they get rid of all their 4s and jacks and 10s, which would be fantastic for them. But if they didn't have any 4s, jacks, or 10s, then these guys would get to give them the 4 jack 10s to those. So let's just go through the rest of these, and then we'll wrap this up. So you get 2 Deer in the Headlights plus 1 number, lose a turn, because everybody loves lose a turn. 2 Deer in the Headlights plus 1 car, assign a lose your turn to any other player and roll again. 2 Deer in the Headlights plus 1 running Deer. All of any 2 cards from their hand can be sent to the center pile. And if you get 3 deer in the headlights, the rolling player is frozen and picks up all the cards in the center pile. It doesn't happen. I've never seen it happen in the 3 or 4 games I've played this, but it could happen. It'd be really bad because that pile gets huge by the end of the game. In order to re-enter the game, and will play that role according to the rules. They must roll a deer in the headlights. So not only do you take all the cards, but then on your next turn, you can't get back into the game unless you roll a deer in the headlights. But at that point, you're probably eliminated from the game. So, anywho, let's pretend that this person got all their cards out. So what would happen now? Well, we tally up the points. So let's say these are Ma's points, and she's got herself a lot of points. She'd have 8, 16, 24, 30, 32, 52 points. So she would have 52 points, which once again, that is bad. And then over here, this person would probably just end the game. 10, 20, 29. I think this is only a 1, though. I think they let luck. 30, 40. Oh, my good gosh. 52, 60. Nothing. 67, 69, 71. You get it. So this person would probably end the game, and whoever won, which would be Paul, would be the winner of the game. If not, you play another round until someone gets to 150. And that, in a nutshell, is how you play the Deer in the Headlights game. Alrighty then. Deer in the Headlights game from Front Porch Classics. What are my final thoughts? Let's go over the pros. Let's go over the cons. First, on the con side, game's not going to be for everybody for a variety of different reasons. The biggest reason why is this game is 100% pure luck for the most part. Yes, you can get rid of certain cards and do certain things to help yourself out, worrying about points, worrying about getting rid of certain things. But for the most part, if you roll the dice poorly, you roll the dice poorly. If you get skip turns and other people skip your turns, there's nothing you can do about it. Continuing on with the cons, I hate games that have skip turns. This one has skip turns. They don't happen terribly often, but still, it's just not a fun mechanism. Come on. Also, another con I have with this game is that I really wish the rule booklet was better. It doesn't tell you what to do with the Joker, if you should take the Joker out or leave the Joker in, or how much the Joker is even worth. Like, if the Joker is worth like 25 points, I think that'd be really cool. Another thing about the game is it comes with 2 decks of cards. If you're playing this with 2, 3, or I'd say even 4 players, 2 decks of cards is just too many cards, especially at that ages 5+. Because I can tell you that I had played this with a 5-year-old, and they thought it was fun. They did. But most games you play with 5-year-olds, they're going to find enjoyment out of it because they just like spending time with adults. But, anyway, I got off a little bit of a tangent there. But for 5-year-olds, you're going to have to be pretty much telling them what's going to happen on here, because most of them are not going to be able to read this. So this is another comment I have in the game. While it's nice that this is here, I wish instead of the Jokers, or they would have an additional player aid card. Maybe it's on the back of some of the score pads or something like that. So once you get out the score pads, you can put them on there. Because essentially one person's going to be in charge of remembering all this stuff, which is a little bit of a bummer. Any other cons I have with it? Low strategy, very light, can take a really long time or really short time depending on the player count. And that's what I got. Moving on to the pros, Deer in the Headlights game, I don't think it's necessarily a good game anymore. I think it's an okay game. I would play it. I enjoyed playing it. Actually, a kid in my class taught me this game. I've had it sitting in my collection forever. Like I tell everybody on this channel, I'm never going to get rid of a game until I review it. This is one of those games that I was just like, that's going to sit on that shelf forever. But then actually a little girl in my class had this deck of cards. I was like, hey, do you know how to play that game? She's like, I did, but my grandpa accidentally lost a bunch of the pieces. And I was like, I'll tell you what. You teach me how to play that game, you can keep that game. So I'm not going to be keeping this game. And honestly, I wouldn't keep it anyway because it's kind of a dinosaur gameplay-wise, and this is not the style of game that I play typically. I'd rather play games with more strategy, more different choices than this game. But that being said, I still had an enjoyable time with this game, and I can see why a lot of people like this game. It's great for bridging age gaps. You can play this with a 5-year-old and an 80-year-old, and it's so simple. It's the kind of game where you're just going to sit around, chit-chat, rolling dice, getting rid of stuff, laughing when people skip turns or handing out cards. And if that's what you're looking for, then I think this is a game you're going to enjoy. If you're looking for strategy or choices or anything like that, this is definitely not one for you. And not even one I could recommend you try playing. I don't think it's really worth trying playing. I'd rather play like Phase 10 or a different game like that. Continuing on with the pros, I do like the fact it comes with the score pad, which is nice. It'd be nice if it came with a pencil, but that's not a deal breaker. By any stretch of the imagination. Actually, it might have come with a pencil. I might have just lost it. Nope, it doesn't come with a pencil. Actually, it doesn't say what contents are in here. So, who cares? Anywho, that's Deer in the Headlights game. One that I cannot really recommend, but I still see why some people think it's fun and why some people enjoy it, because I had a decent time with it. That being said, I'd probably be happy never playing it again. So there you go. Deer in the Headlights game from Front Porch Classic. So if it looks like it might be your cup of tea, be sure to check that one out. If you're enjoying what I'm doing, please be sure to click on that subscribe button down below. If you want to support the channel, click on that Amazon link down below. Go buy anything on Amazon with the same amazing great prices, and a couple pennies go here and there to Bauer's Game Corner. And in the comments below, let me know, have you ever hit a deer with your car? For me personally, yes, I hit a deer with the front right part of my car. I don't remember what it was, the car. It was a light blue car that I had when in my mid-20s, early to mid-20s. It's a great car. Busted up my headlight, but I was able to get that fixed, so no real damage, even though I imagine the deer probably did crawl off and die somewhere because I slammed it in the head with my car, and there's blood all over my front of my car. But yeah, so there you go. Nice, pleasant talk about deers. Have you ever hit a deer with your car? Let me know in the comments below, and as always, thanks for your time, YouTube.